our shores for decades in search of economic opportunities and educational advancement. Many are ready to give back to their cherished nature island. Welcome to Roots Connections on Q. Join Dr. Simone Matthew on Q95 as we tap into the life and times and expertise of our nature island Dominicans, at home and abroad. From our agriculture and industry to sustainable development, resilience and renewable energy, to the music, art, and entertainment industries. Join Dr. Simone Matthew and guests every other Wednesday from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. We examine where they came from, where they have been, where they are now, and how we can move forward together with our brothers and sisters at home and abroad to inspire and elevate our country, our economy, our people, and our youth to achieve excellence and success. Roots Connections on Q, every other Wednesday night, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Only on Q95, the big station.
Jacob is calling his children. Let them rise, so we walk. Oh, children, oh, to Zion, wanna go.
Good evening, good evening, Dominica, the Caribbean region, and the rest of the world. Wherever you're joining us from, it is always wonderful to be in your company for another episode of Roots Connections on Q, right here on Q95, the big station. So whether you're joining us from Capuchin in the north or Kashaku in the south, it is great to have you on board for our number one program for featuring the change makers in our community, the visionaries who are no longer on the sideline waiting for change, but they're on the front line, walking the talk and showing us what happens when we turn our passion for Dominica into action for the development of our beautiful country, our people, and our region. So wherever you are in the world, the region, the rest of the world, welcome to another episode of Roots Connections on Q. We continue to engage with our visionaries as we explore topics such as the changes we should be concerned about, the changes we should be taking advantage of, and what changes can we make in order to move our islands and our people forward. So today we have another very packed program for you. We always look forward to being in your company. And this evening, we are joined by the committee for the St. Mary's Academy class of 1974-1975 Alumni Reunion. So we're looking at, can reunions and fundraisers be conduits for the economic development of Dominica? Because I'm not sure if you've noticed, but recently there has been an upsurge of reunions in Dominica. So just off the top of my mind, I can think of St. Andrew's High School, who were with us a couple of weeks ago. I think there was Castle Bruce, there was La Plaine. And as you're coming in and you're joining us on Facebook and YouTube, tell us about the other reunions I might be forgetting about. There have been family reunions, and we cannot forget the fundraisers, all the fundraisers we see going up in Dominica. So that is why we're asking the questions. Can these be used as conduits to the economic development of Dominica? So this evening, we're happy to be joined by a veteran contributor. That's what I'm going to call him. He knows himself very well. Mr. Alvin Thomas, no stranger to the program, no stranger to Q95 FM radio. And then we have two new timers. We have Dr. Damian Dublin with us. And we also have Mr. Joseph Joe Gist with us. So again, welcome. This is episode number 98 of Roots Connections on Q. And I am your host, Dr. Simone Matthew. Before we get started, we always like to pray for our country and all the challenges we continue to face in Dominica. But in particular, this evening, I want us to continue to pray that the hurricane season will remain as quiet as it has been. So I think we can all agree that we're starting to cautiously breathe a sigh of relief because, as I saw Dr. Thompson Fontaine announce today, there is no activities in the ocean, at least for this week. And we're very quickly getting to the end of September. So hopefully that is good news for our region. So again, welcome to the program, whether you're listening to us via Q95 FM radio, or you will join us on Facebook and YouTube on Q95 FM radio, and on YouTube and Facebook, as well as Push Past 10 on Facebook. So don't forget to share as you come in. Don't forget to click that notification button so you will never miss when we go live. We say good evening to you, Lambi. Thank you as always for being in the studio to take our calls later in the evening. We say good evening to Mr. Sherwin Norris, our engineer who keeps us connected, and of course, Mr. G and the Q95 family. So let's give a warm welcome to our guests as they tell us a little bit about themselves. This being Roots Connections, their connections to Dominica, as well as a little bit about their professional experience. So I'm sure, Alvin, you don't have an issue if I let the newbies go first.
Certainly, by all means.
Yes, so we will begin with the person who reached out to me. And let me just say how impressed I am when we've had folks on the program and they reach out again. It kind of says that they sees the value in this program. So if you've been following along, you know we had SMA back in January, and we'll get an update on exactly what's been going on since then. But I'm grateful that Joe reached out to me to say, hey, you know, we're having this reunion coming up in October, and we could really do with some exposure. So Joe, welcome to the program. Unmute your mic and tell us a little bit about you and your connections to Dominica while I share this program to everyone who's waiting. Welcome to the program, Joe.
All right, thank you so much. Well, I grew up in Newtown, you know, Bosavan, you know, in Harlem, and I went to SMA. I went to Convent High School, primary school, and I went to SMA, and I was very involved in activities in Harlem. You know, Harlem, although it was a football club, it was more than that. It was a community organization. You know, so from a very young age, I learned to focus not only on me, but also on the community around me. And I remember the older guys, you know, like Ogrels, you know, Jashi, you know, Keza, and all these guys, you know what I'm saying? They would, you know, sit down, you know, and then we would come up with some concepts, you know, to help the community, whether it be literary programs, you know, any food drives or whatever it is, just raising funds. And then, you know, I would have to go out during the day and talk to all the sponsors. And then I would have to come back at night and report to them and then, you know, figure out what's going on. But it just taught me two things: to respect, you know, the elders because of the knowledge they have, but also, you know, to realize that the environment that I'm in is bigger than me. You know what I'm saying? I was fortunate enough to go to SMA, so I had a secondary education. And, you know, around the time, it wasn't always that way. So I had a responsibility. And interestingly enough, now, you know, I work, you know, for casinos, Native American casinos, you know, as a consultant here in the US, but it's the same concept. The success of the casinos is not for one individual or for some corporation, it's for the tribe. You know what I'm saying? And tribal development, education, medicine, you know, in terms of elevating the health of the people, of their tribal members. And in fact, I'm here now today. I'm in Newport, California with a group from Kickapoo down in Texas. And, you know, we're planning for 2026. But again, the whole idea is to working in a, you know, my efforts, I know, are going towards bettering the tribe. So I think I was prepped for that at home, and now I'm so happy that I've stuck on that path. I think it was just organic for me. You know, it was no struggle at all. So I came here. I got lucky enough to get an education. Came here. I went to school at MIU in Fairfield, Iowa. And then I moved to San Diego, and then I've been in the industry now for almost 30 years. I love every bit of it. I travel a lot, which is wonderful. But But I've kept my connection with Dominica, you know, and Alvin. Well, actually, Alvin wouldn't let me forget it, to be honest. He would always call me, "Hey, did you hear this? Did you hear that? Dude, what about you? You don't listen to anything about Dominica. What kind of person are you?" And oh my God, I was tired of hearing about it. So I had to start focusing on it more and more. And then when that idea of a reunion came, it just kind of sparked in me. You know what I mean? I think it just, that was the timing was good for it, you know,
Mhm.
because, you know, at that point he had already given me enough mapwe. And then I was, you know, I think I was in a position to help make it happen. So I jumped in, and then we've been pushing very hard to make it successful. So that's where we are right now. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share where we are and where we're going to.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much, Joe. Thank you for your introduction. Damien, over to you. Oh, unmute. You're muted. We can't hear you. Okay, let's try to unmute.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes,
I
that's
was
okay.
just saying, thank you for inviting us to the program and being there. I like the name, the Roots Connection. It's,
Thank
yeah,
you.
getting into the heart of it.
Mhm.
Mine will be shorter than Joseph Tutigis. Many may not know him as Joseph Gis, but when you hear the name Tuti, it's a Dominican name linked to football, linked to cricket. Basically, I've been a community person from age, grew up in Maho, born in Maho, and just involved in everything. I mean, the committee, secondary school, everything. Youth group, cultural group, carnival organizing committee, sports, whatever. Played cricket, football on that, and that great field teaser. I mean, at time teaser field was, I mean, hard rock, but we had to play on that whole day sometimes on a Sunday. It was really fun and good growing up. But the most important thing was the community aspect, being involved, and it was just naturally. In fact, my mother used to say, "Because I'm more friends up with community because all my siblings were involved in almost everything." And if the good thing it happens up to this present time. So you're talking about 50 plus years, and all of us are involved in different things. Um, went to SMA, privilege. I went to school a bit early. I remember I skipped in Massac school because from my school I went to Massac in the later days. I skipped a class because I was in one class, and because of my age, all the other guys with me were going up. So when school started, I just went to the other class. And I checked my name wasn't on the list. So the headmaster, I always remember Mr. Teacher Nicholas. He said, "Young man, you think you deserve to be in that class?" I say, "Well, I'm there. All my friends are there." He said, "Okay, I'm going to give you a short test." Give me a test, and I aced that. And he said, "Okay, you can stay there."
Oh,
So
wow.
actually, went to SMA 1 year younger than normal. At age 9, I think I was in SMA. But SMA was a tremendous experience. I mean, and that reunion is just the nice thing about the reunion is more than the reunion. Is like guys you have been to school with 74, 75, and some of them you have never seen since graduation. It's like everybody go to a different path. And in the process of organizing this reunion, the joy of just reconnecting with them, to me, that alone is like sufficient besides the activities that we plan. So, well, my name is well known because went to Cuba, studied dentist by profession, and I doing what I have to do. I've been in it since 1987. I'm not counting because that might maybe sell out my age. So, but I enjoy every bit of it. I mean, giving back in the profession, still involved in many other things. Right now, we can see just like a Pan Africanist. So I'm the chair of the Dominica reparations movement and involved in the credit union. So my whole life has just been involvement in every aspect of community. And Joseph you said something which is important. It's respect. That word respect is very important. Respect yourself, respect elderly, respect the youth. And with that respect, you can guide people and, just live a simple life. If you cannot help somebody, don't try to bring them down. I mean, just do what you can to always help each other. So it was just natural that I would get involved in the planning of that reunion. And so far, it, it's it's enriching, it's joyful. I mean, linking with the rest of the guys. I mean, planning it, and we're gonna have a great reunion and a good time.
Yeah, I can already tell. So, because I've seen the events coming up. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. Now, Alvin, you need no introduction, but by way of just saying good evening to the listening audience, go ahead and tell us a little bit about who you are.
Well, good evening, Simon. Pleasure to be here this evening. Want to thank you, first of all, for inviting us, the committee and SME Old Boys, to the program, and partnering with us in speaking about the activity. I want to say a special good evening to my good friend Lambi in the studio. Good evening, Lambi. Lambi and I go way, way, way back, right? Way back. Want to say good evening to him and to the folks who have already tuned into the program. I'm not sure how much of an introduction I may need, but the name, as you rightly pointed out, is Alvin. I've been involved with so many different organizations, and I may have stated before on your program that as a JCI member, one of the tenets in my creed, in our JCI creed, which says service to humanity is the best work of life. And that's what have guided me over the years, starting from my very early days at St. Mary's Academy. But even before I went to St. Mary's Academy, I went to Rosa Boys School, involved in that. I don't know if Lambi recalled, during way back then Carnival, we had a band called Moby Dick. Moby Dick, that was a band put together from the Rosa Boys School. We had the art teachers and that's the extent of I dabble in stuff that that focuses on bringing people together. And of course, like Tuti said, St. Mary's Academy gave me that foundation, and when I graduated from there, the rest is history in terms of my involvement in trade union, in JCs, you name it. But in terms of the reunion itself and your program, I heard when you played the ad on your program, one of the things it says is to inspire and elevate our people and those at home and abroad. And that resonates so well with what we are aiming to do with this reunion. And I'm sure as the conversation develops, we'll be able to speak more directly to that. But let me just say from the onset to all of those listening, especially the SMA Old Boys, this reunion is a reunion open to all, and I underscore all alumni. Sometimes it may come across that it is just the class of 74, 75 that is having that reunion among ourselves. But we are the initiators. We are the ones sort of spearheading it. Because in the 93-year history of the school, SMA, having been opened on the 4th of April, 1932, there has never been a class reunion. And as you might know, Simon, you may not be old enough to know, but from history, our class was the class that created, well, during our tenure, I wouldn't say our class, but during our tenure, we were students of the 70s. And as you know, there was a serious unrest, protest, whatever you might want to call it.
Revolutionary spirit?
Whatever you want to call it. And we were the product of that. So it has come back full circle 50 years later to initiate the reunion. But I will say again, underscore, that the reunion is a reunion for all SMA alumni. So the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and beyond. So we're looking forward to all of them joining us in that historic occasion.
Yeah, and I think that is very important to clarify that you stated that the organizers are the 1974-1975 class, but it's truly for every alumni of St. Mary's Academy. And we'll talk about it a little bit more. But as I mentioned in the beginning of the program, and I see we have folks coming in on Facebook and YouTube, guys, don't forget, if you want to be acknowledged for being here, just simply say where you're joining us from, and I'll be more than happy to acknowledge your presence this evening. But going back to January, Alvin, I'm sure everyone wants to know, are there any updates from the program that we did? Because we were looking at the Alumni Infrastructure and Development Fund, and we were talking about the renovation of the roof of the Brother Egbert German Wing. So that's the topic we touched on in January. Are there any updates in terms of that fundraising event?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, Simon. That's a great question. Thanks for asking that. Yes, there has been significant update. As we speak, since then, we have gotten what we refer to in the US as a 501(c) status. So we have what is called the St. Mary's Academy Alumni Infrastructural and Development Funds Incorporated, and that is a 501(c). So we are fully established in the US, meaning that we are in a position where we can approach institutions, corporations, you name it, solicit donation on behalf of the school, and they in turn can have write-off. Also in Dominica, we did submit an application to the minister to establish a foundation, and that would be called the St. Mary's Academy, pretty much the same thing, Infrastructural and Development Foundation Incorporated. The only difference with the one in the US and the one in Dominica is that we couldn't tag along the name fund at the end in Dominica. So it is referred to as the St. Mary's Academy Infrastructural and Development Foundation Incorporated. Now, that application would have required the approval of the Minister of Legal Affairs and Home Affairs, which we have since received from the Minister. And it's just a matter now for us to regularize a few bits and pieces, meaning that go through the register of companies, file with the registry, and a few crossing the T's and dotting the I's. But I will also state, though, that since that time, we have been able to raise just a little over $60,000 in the fund.
US or EC?
That's EC. I would have loved it. But coming from where we were just a little over 12 months ago, with pretty much nothing in the fund, we now have at least a little over $60,000 in the fund. And let me just quickly add that on Friday of this week, we have another big highlight taking place, whereby the science lab at the St. Mary's Academy is going to be named the Elwin Jolly's Science Lab, after the late Cuthbert Elwin, himself an old boy and a principal of the school, and the Jollies, Pelham Jolly and Andy Jolly, senior, that is, Pelham himself being an old boy of SMA. So the Jollies have made a significant contribution towards the fund, and they have also agreed to support the science lab over a 5-year period. And that is subject to renewal after the 5-year, meaning that they will ensure that the science lab at SMA is always up to date. So there shouldn't be any problem with the science lab, and therefore they have committed to that. As a result, we are renaming the lab as the Elwin Jolly Science Lab.
Yeah, that's excellent. Excellent. And it's wonderful to see all the good that Dominicans at home and abroad continue to do, which is the concept of this program. But I want us to jump right into the reunion. So I'm just going to open the floor for discussion, so we can begin by talking about how did the idea of the reunion come up? Where did the idea come from? So anybody can feel free to jump in.
Alvin?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
You're the initiator, so you should say.
Well, I got a call. This is how I got into it. I got a call from Alvin saying, hey, if we were planning a 50-year reunion, you know what I mean? And before, he had me at hello, So I don't know where it came from. I mean, he is the one who just called me, and he does that all the time. He just calls me and recruits me. I just say yes.
And you know that's the thing about Alvin. There's a strange thing about Alvin. Everybody needs to know. When Alvin calls you before he can even ask the request, you just say yes. because
Yeah.
I'm the
I
same
say
way.
yes. Yeah, yeah,
Because, and I
whatever.
think it's because we see the value in Alvin's vision in terms
Yeah,
of
yeah,
what he's trying to do for Dominica. So I'm always prepared to say yes because I already know
yeah,
it
yeah,
is
yeah,
something that's going to come from his heart, and it's something that's going to impact not one, two people, but it's going to impact a lot of people
yeah,
because he's such a resourceful person.
yeah,
So our fingers
So
seems to be pointing at you, Alvin. So go.
yes. So basically what it is, Simon, and the benefit of your listeners. I think also in your ad, your promo, you said what can reunions and fundraising be a conduit for economic development?
Hmm.
And as I just indicated to you, a little over a year ago, a group of us, including myself, I sort of spearheaded, we saw the need to step forward and to help the school alma mater, SME. And in terms of the repair or the replacement of the roof of the Egbert German wing. And that itself is a huge project. But beyond that, we sort of saw the need to how can or what role can we play, those of us who went to SMA, to help develop that school and to help create a legacy for the 300 plus students that are in this enrolled in the school now. Last year the enrollment was 335. This year it's about that same number. What role can we play? And I thought, what better way that we should try to do that if a group of us of the 74, 75 class, which is kind of half a century ago, can come together and have this reunion, but beyond the reunion, to say, well, and for each of us to be able to identify what can I do where I am in my own little way and collectively to help my alma mater. And as you know, Simon, you and I, we both, and Giz, Tuti, we lived in the US. We know the kind of impact that alumni have in their universities and their schools in America. I mean, universities and the schools in America do not depend on the government, whether it's federal or state government, to advance. Most of the philanthropy and the donation that comes, it comes from a collective effort of alumni working with corporations or folks who want to make great endowment into the universities or the schools. And I felt then, and with Damien and the rest of the team, that this is a way that we could use the reunion as a springboard to get us now further engaged and involved. That is not to say in any way that there are not alumni who over the years have been playing their part. We recognize that. We want to thank them for the effort that they have made. But I think a lot of us can go beyond, and to him much is given, much is expected. A lot
Yeah.
of us are successful in our respective ways, either professionally, business-wise, and I think it creates that platform for us to be able to give back to our alma mater.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you said that, Alvin. And the question I want to ask both Joe and Damien is, besides Alvin's influence, what convinced you to become a member of the planning committee? And the reason I'm kind of focusing on that question is because I'm a part of the class of 1992 for Convent High School, right? That's our graduation year. And the idea of a reunion always comes up. And folks get excited, and then 2 days later, crickets. And I'm putting the spotlight on our group because what happens is nobody is willing to take the next steps, right? So everybody gets excited, but then everybody's waiting on the other person to do the work. Frankly, that's what it boils down to. And I have no reservation in saying that that's what's the issue, because everybody is busy, right? Everybody has full-time jobs, full-time life, and as you guys mentioned, other organizations that you're a part of. So what convinced you, both Joe and Damien, what convinced you to, besides everything you're already engaged in, to why did you see the value in being a part of the committee to spearhead this reunion?
Well, Simone, it was a natural reaction. I mean, when I was informed, it was a natural reaction to say, okay, let's give it a try. Besides, as you say, much involved, and you figure that, well, another one again within
Right.
the 24 hours. But it just picked up when, first thing, it was just the joy of just connecting, and it was an instant commitment from most of the guys. I mean, from the first time, the first meeting, it was like just, yeah, let's ready to go, and just the joy of seeing guys who hadn't seen in a while. And right then we set up a structure, and I mean, we just kept to it, a core, and gradually just involving others, and so people just start roping in and just warming up to the idea. But we have a core organizing committee, which I can say is a set of dedicated guys. We meet like regularly every Wednesday. It's like we meet and keep in touch. We have separate WhatsApp groups. So it was just a natural call. And I mean, being involved in many other things, I just felt that that was important because SMA, I've never had a reunion. And you've seen sometimes these schools going through their struggles. I've heard about the Egbert we made a contributions, but just the need to do more and thinking of the present students, because when you reflect on, I mean, our time going to SMA, when, I mean, access to secondary school was limited. So as Joseph said, it was like in your community, it was like a privilege when, I mean, the group of us that were going to SMA in my time, Sobers Esprit and Calvin Esprit, Sober's brother, but no, younger than us. It was like the community were proud of you, that they figure, yes, like looking forward to you to succeed and come back and give. So you always had to keep that connection with the community. And it was just a natural, an instant reaction to say yes. And so far going good, enjoying every
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah, excellent. Joe,
Yeah.
you.
I think there's a little anxiety, I feel, and I know a lot of people in the diaspora feel with the current situation in the US, right? Not being born here, even if you're a citizen, the anxiety. And I think, it has turned people's attention to home a bit, even if they're not planning to go home. But hey, there's a home if we need it.
Yes.
And I think the timing for this was just perfect. It's like a perfect storm, right? The reunion gives you a chance to go home, reconnect, and also make a significant contribution to our high school. So, and I think it was also just so charming, meeting everybody and just talking, and the meetings. A lot of the meetings that we have, a large portion of it is people just catching up. Now it's gotten a little more serious because now we're down to the nitty gritty. But especially initially when the planning was going on, it was just people catching up. Where are you? And what you're doing. And now I think we're at a point where it's crystallizing, and the excitement is building, and we have a lot of support locally, like with you and other media houses in Dominica are stepping up to really give us some help, and we're just excited. I can't wait to go home. I'm honest. When is October 11th? Is it tomorrow?
Well, not September 11th is tomorrow, so exactly one month from tomorrow is going to be the date. But that is fantastic. So guys, one of the things what I really want us to do while we're talking about your reunion, right, is kind of provide a blueprint, right? A blueprint for others, like my class of 1992 Convent High School. What does the blueprint look like to execute a reunion such as the one that we are talking about this evening? Because my concern is always everybody's always is always trying to start from scratch, right? So you have this brilliant idea, but it's been executed already. So there's no need to start from scratch. Simply use the idea that already exists and implement it for your own good. So as we're talking about the reunion, I'm going to be making some notes in terms of the steps. So we got the yes. Everybody said yes to the reunion. What was the next thing that you guys did?
But
Well,
let's back up a little though. Let's back
Yes.
up a little.
go ahead. Go ahead.
We said yes because there was a generator, a strong generator
Right.
that you couldn't say no to. So I
Right.
think, in the inception, there has to be somebody there who because it's not easy. I know it's not easy. I mean, we're all busy, right? I know it's a burden for him sometimes, Alvin, to have to coordinate everything. You know what I'm saying? So I think the first thing you need is somebody to spearhead this thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And that person, have to be dedicated to it like he is. And and then from there, I mean, all the execution, the calling people, the doing this, I mean, this
Yeah.
is like execution things, but I'm talking about the genesis of it has to
Mhm.
be with somebody who's willing to.
Well,
Yeah, because hold on, Alvin, because like in any other organization, there has to be a leader,
yeah.
right? There has to be a leader, a charismatic, like a force of nature that Alvin is. Let's just put it that way. Someone who is
But
going
don't tell him
to.
that. I don't want it to go to his head, let's mute his mic so you don't hear what we're saying.
I'll
You know
do
what I'm
that.
saying?
But someone has to take the lead. So for those of us who are thinking about reunions, right? So the first thing in the blueprint is who's going to take the lead. And a lot of times when we think of who's going to take the lead, it almost feels like, well, it's going to be a burden. I'm going to have to carry it. But no, a good leader delegates, right? So you're the leader, not because you're going to carry all the load, but you're the leader because you're going to delegate. You're going to say, this committee is going to do this, that committee, this committee. It's not a matter of you're going to carry the burden. You're simply going to be the force that keeps driving, that's going to keep reaching out and say, well, did you have the meeting? The subcommittees now need to come back to the main group and report. The general meeting, right, is going to be the primary role of the leader. But Alvin, you wanted to say?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll just say simply on that, though. I mean, in any organization, any institution, whether it's a non-profit or profit, there has to be some form of leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And out of that now, the leader will put forward a vision for something, whatever that something is. And you now must get and present that vision in a manner that folks will buy into your vision. And as you rightly said, what will happen eventually, you yourself, you as a leader must be guided by certain values.
Mm-hmm.
And some of those values will entail knowing that it's not about you. Character, integrity, shared responsibility. These are the things that a leader is expected to do. And that way now, once you can get folks to buy into that, because you yourself must understand that this service that you're providing to this organization as a leader or even as a member transcends any personal gain. It's not about me. And that is why a lot of times I'm very reluctant to come onto any program where they want to talk about me. I've had invitations to come on programs and talk, and I'm kind of reluctant. I will talk about what I have been able to provide and what the organization itself, of which I'm part of, have been able to achieve. So I think it starts with having a clear vision, being able to translate or communicate that vision, and bring on board people who may be smarter than you.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you're going to get it done. Get all the smart guys around, like the Joseph Gies, the Damian Dublins. These are the smart guys. Bring them on board and say, hey, this is how we're going to execute this particular project. But I will also add to that, Simon, that there has to be a certain level of structure. And why I'm saying that is because even when previous attempts may have been made. Bear in mind, the roof of Egbert German Wing got damaged since Hurricane Maria. That's 8 years ago. Folks may have come out with, boy, yes, that's a need, that's the thing. But in the absence of a structure, then things are left to just play any way they might want to go. And hence the reason why in the US, for example, like I told you earlier, we were able to establish a 501c organization with all the necessary legal structures that is required. And similarly, we're doing one in Dominica. So it means to say, if Alvin, who happens to be the chairman of that foundation now, goes away, is no longer there next year or whenever, the foundation continues. There's continuity and sustainability. So now Joseph Gis is the chairman, Damien is the chairman. There is a structure. But too often, we tend to want to execute some of those things outside of a structure. So herein lies the frustration now that individuals run into and say, hey, man, this guy's not serious. We had 2 meetings, nothing happened. So in the case of those organizations that I mentioned, we have bylaws that you have to be guided by. So if we go to a meeting, it's not a question of folks just talking from the top of their head. There are bylaws to be governed by. We have conflict of interest policies written up. So a member may not feel, well, I'm going to benefit again. Bear in mind that I said service transcends personal gain. So you're not in this thing for what you can get, but how you can help grow this organization. So all of those are in place. So that's a template. And once you get that template now, you bring on board the smart guys, the smart girls, the smart people, and you're able to execute. Of course, along the road rather, you have to provide the necessary guidance that is required, the direction to ensure that this thing executes in a manner, because you have persons with different personalities, hot temper, short temper, all different personalities. And you now, as the person charged with bringing this thing together, must recognize that and navigate that road. How do you get Joseph ideas and Damien ideas and Simon idea? And at the end of the day now, we have a decision that reflects the decision of the group.
Right. Excellent. Damien.
Yeah, I agree with first point. Yeah, you have to identify somebody of interest and determination. Surrounding yourself with, I won't say smart people, because I was the smartest in SMA. I knew some guys who were, them guys didn't have to study, and them guys passing
That's what we
everything.
will say for you, Damien. You are smart.
These are the smart guys. I would say surround yourself with resourceful people, and I think that is what we were able to do. I just have to mention somebody named there, Sobers Esprit. This guy is a tremendous talent, and he has brought, I
agree.
mean,
I
a
agree.
level
I
of,
agree too. I've worked with Sobers. I agree.
a level of, I mean, quiet, unassuming, but
Yeah.
tremendous.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
everybody, the thing is, everybody bringing different
Yeah.
sorts of talent, different perspectives, and I mean, we have had some real heated meetings.
Discussion.
At one time, Alvin himself saying that his egos, but
That just can't be right.
sometimes he get out of line, and I get ruffled. But we laugh it out during the meetings. The names we had, the nicknames during school. Somebody would just mention something or crack a joke, talk about whose recess they used to take. So besides the fun part of it, I mean, we were able to at least, in spite of everything, arrive at the decisions. But in the process, I mean, we made so many changes. At what time, that thing was becoming overwhelming, and the kind of plans we had, when we sat back and said, boy, that thing looking like, the kind of plans we had. So we mellowed down and reshaped until we came up and agreed to a set of activities divided among different sphere that would include everybody. And I need to stress again, as Alvin said, that this reunion is organized by the class of 74, 75, but it's basically is a movement to bring all SMA alumni, whatever year. I mean, it could be how many years before us or after us. So we want all SMA alumni to feel that that is to take ownership. That is your thing. That's our thing, and we're going to make it happen. But the process so far has been really delegating of responsibility is very important. Where individuals are given certain tasks, to organize certain things and report back at all meetings and shape and reshape and add there. So really, it's and one the funny thing is in the process, no matter how involved we are, I mean, you yourself benefit from it because you benefit from the discussion of the others, of the ideas and the wisdom. So you use this experience to even better yourself because sometimes during the discussion I think of this my private office and certain things that come up I second, yeah, but at a good point I could probably try that there. So it's a
Yeah.
learning process. All of us are benefiting. I this guy there, Tutig, is tremendous. Come to
Thank you.
marketing. We have this,
Thank
I think the structure we set up. Then to the thing we have you people you use people talents like Joe is marketing.
you. Yeah.
We have Julius who is finance. So you put people to head areas where their strengths are, so they feel comfortable and they can execute to a degree of.
Yeah, and all very great points. And my co-producer is on the program today, Kathy Robinson Petter. Thank you, Kathy, for being here, and everybody else who's joining us. Don't forget to continue posting your comments. And she's right. She says, why it reinvents the wheel. So I'm happy we're talking about the blueprint. And I also want us to talk about the goals. What are the short-term and long-term goals of the reunion? But tell us about the other committee members. So how large of a committee do you have? And what are some of the roles? Because I think that will also be helpful in terms of that blueprints that we are creating so we can hand it off to the next school, the next organization that is wanting to do a reunion, not only to connect, but we're also going to talk about the financial impact and the other ripple effects of hosting these reunions in Dominica. So kind of just tell us a brief overview of some of the other committee members. How large is the committee? I think that would be helpful.
Yes. The committee as we speak now in terms of the execution, the core committee, if you put it this way, is about 8 members, thereabout.
Okay.
It was a little larger than that, and we still have folks doing stuff outside of the committee, but in terms of the core committee, that's what we're looking at. So you have, as Damien rightly said, you have Victor Luis, who is handling finance. You have Sobers, who's handling some of the logistics and the organization structure aspect of it.
He's the intellectual and historian in the group.
Then you have Joseph Gaze doing marketing. You have Kenrick Jean-Pierre, who is very good at editing and preparing all of the documents, the letters that have to go out. So say we put something together and the language is particular on that.
So the press releases.
Yeah.
Right. Then you have Damian, who is handling some local logistics. We have Peter Etienne. Peter Etienne is also involved in the logistics of underground, the shipping, working with sponsors, because it's one of the things that comes to mind, sponsorship. Then you have Linford John. Linford is involved with part of the entertainment aspect. What are some of the areas of entertainment? We have that. I pretty much, ensure that everything stays on point, do the necessary coordinations, the outreach that is required. But like I said, you have folks even outside of that. I would want to put a plug in for, let's say, Miguel Murphy. Miguel is there helping out with the social media part of it. And so we have, for example, Alvin Bernard right now is involved with planning the Thanksgiving Mass. He's involved with that aspect of it. We have Daryl Bob. Daryl Bob is also involved in the coordination of some aspect of the Mass and all of that. All of that are SMA old boys. Cedric Phillip. Cedric Phillip is an old boy. He's in charge of dealing with the music part, the director of the choir and all of that, make sure all of that is in place. And I will also state too that we also have the full support of the principal and staff. That's important. That's very important. If you are undertaking something like that, you want to have a very close collaboration and rapport with the principal of the school and the staff to be on board. For example, as we'll soon go into the activities, after the Thanksgiving Mass that Sunday morning, we have a brunch. And that brunch is being fully organized by the principal and her staff and the PTA. So they're taking that on board as part of it. So I think, as Damien rightly said a while ago, you use the resources among you. What are the best resources to do what? And you zero in on that. But I will underscore the point, Simon, that it has to be done in a very structured and organized manner. Outside of that is just chaos, and you won't get the results that you're looking for.
Yeah, and just listening to our conversation this evening, something that quickly comes to mind is these are also opportunities to bridge that divide between Dominicans at home and abroad.
Oh, yeah.
Because so often when you go home, you can feel the tension that exists as a Dominica living overseas versus Dominicans living at the ground. And many times Dominicans at home will say to your face, "You left. It's me that stay back to develop the country." And I'm like, "What?" So how do you think I'm paying that mortgage at National Bank? It's not because I work in Dominica, it's because I work overseas. So I think this is a wonderful opportunity. These, I should say, are wonderful and important opportunities to kind of break that ice and to have Dominicans at home and abroad realize that we have the same vision. We have the same vision. We share the same values. That value of wanting to see better for our people, that value of wanting to see better for the schools that we attended, the organizations we were part of, and just the general development of Dominica. Damien, you have any thoughts on that?
Yes, I support that fully. I just want to include somebody with Alvin this time.
Oh my God.
Jonathan Trouble Prevo.
Oh, yes.
That's what happens when you start calling names.
Yeah. That guy's what's been from inception.
Yes, Jonathan Prevo.
Yeah, with us. We have had others, Greg Gray, who in and out. And besides
Gerald Benjamin.
Yeah. Besides that core group, we also have we have like two WhatsApp group, one for the core group, and we also have one for extended, like a class of 74, 75 in another group. So what we do, we feed one into each other and information. You drop it in the other group, and then ideas come from there. So it's like a symbiotic relationship. So it's working nicely. But also importantly, besides, you call some names like Linford. So we're working on the entertainment part, and also the idea is to most of the guys we working with or trying to work with are either 74, 75 grads or alumni at a wider level. So I mean, if we have to call names of guys who have probably got to SMA, I mean, but there are some notable ones which we have to call. I mean, Gunn Henderson, the big ones, Cornell Phillip, Wackers, you mentioned Bob and other guys, and so quite a few who have gone through SMA and excel in whatever field they are. Interestingly, also we are focusing on the teachers too. All that is part of the reunion to kind of recognize and the role of the teachers. And the funny thing is, some of the teachers, not all of them went SMA. There are some teachers who went to grammar school and taught as SMA for maybe a short time. There are some people like say we had a case of like maybe 4 siblings, 3 went to SMA, 1 into grammar school, but yet they still have that that link to support SMA. So it's just a nice connecting, as you say, a rootsy program, just connecting everybody and just really breaking down the tension which you mentioned, because
Yeah.
tension sometimes can be
Yeah.
real,
Yeah.
perceived or not, but it's
Mm-hmm.
something really so far. I mean, we are breaking down barriers, and
Yep.
I guess we could talk about the other impacts in time in terms of economic, social, and
Mm-hmm.
just together
Mhm.
as the country. But so far, yeah, it's so positive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
Anybody
Simon,
else wants to share?
Simon,
Share? Mm-hmm.
yeah, let me just say quickly though, because I it would be remiss of us, and Damien just did it, not to mention the teachers. That is so important.
Yes. Yes.
The teachers are extremely important because they were our role model, they were our
Mm-hmm.
mentor and mentors, and they too are extremely excited about this thing. I mean, I don't want to start calling names. There'll be some of them that have agreed already to present at some of the activities that we'll be having once we go into that in a few. But the teachers are very, very excited about this thing. I there was when we launched back in May, there was one particular teacher who was part of their launch who was on. We did it virtual via Zoom. And he sent me a note after, and he told me, Alvin, I had to get off the camera during a certain time of the presentation because he was so moved to tears that he had to shut down his camera, because here he was looking at this young man, 10-year-old, 12 years old, 50 years ago in a classroom, taught them, and he's seen them now on that virtual launch. Who is this? Who is a doctor there? Who is this there? Who is a business person there? Who is that there? You know, in all our respective fields and presenting. And he was so moved, he moved to tears that he had to shut down and then come back on. One of our teachers.
Yeah. Wow. I can imagine.
Yeah.
Joe, anything you want to share? We're gonna go to the studio in a minute to invite the
Yeah.
callers to call
I
to
think
come.
you're right that bridge is important. I think what I found in the group, I think because we'd kind of known each other from a long time ago, there's a certain connection there. And I think I mean, basically everyone in the group is humble enough to know what they can and cannot do, what they can and cannot say, but I think it's important, you're right. We want to approach that with a humility that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't cause
Mm-hmm.
a chasm between us and anybody in Dominica. Look,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Dominican. You know what I mean? It's like I've been here for so long. I mean, when somebody said to me the other day, Joe, you've been here for so long, you still have your accent. How was I gonna lose it? You know what I mean? I mean, I was maybe if I was young when I came here, and then maybe so, but then I was already seasoned. You know, when you bake already, you know what I'm saying? It's hard to, you know what I'm
To
saying?
unbake you, is that to unbake you?
You know what I mean?
You can't make you.
You bake. It's like, oh, you're gonna
And,
undo the
I,
bread. You
and
know
you
what I mean?
still
It's like,
dabble in your Creole, in your patois.
yeah, the only thing you can do to the bread is toast it now because it's baked already. You know what I'm saying? So once you form, but again, it's not that there's no effort to do it because you're so proud of who you are.
Yes.
That's what
Yes.
I tell people. I enjoyed growing up in Dominica. I
Mm-hmm.
would never want to grow up in the US.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed growing up in DA, the things that we did, the connections that we made, and most of all, the education that we had.
Yep.
I'm telling you, SMA, the education we had in SMA, when you come and you go to college, you're a step ahead of people.
Yep.
I don't know why. I don't know, it's just the way you communicate. I think what it was, and you mentioned the teachers, I think they just put that confidence of knowledge in you. It's not that you come in like you know everything, but you're so confident that you can. You know what I'm saying? Eventually get to where they are because they're such. I mean, there are few people, that I have been really impressed with, in terms of their ability to communicate. And one of them for me in SMA was Ray Harris. I always say that. Um, he taught at SMA, but I also, knew him outside of SMA too, for a long time. And just it's just it's just shaped the way I thought about things. Things are not always obvious as they are. There's a deeper meaning to stuff, and then I guess it's intangible sometimes what you get from an institution like this. But hey, it made us who we are. We love it.
Yeah, and I'm very happy, Joe, you brought up that word humility. That is such an important word because, again, setting the egos aside, being humble and coming together. I think that is such an important word when we try to bridge that divide, humility on both sides of the fence, so that now we're working together as equals, not as, well, I live in the States and you live in Dominica. I mean, we're Dominicans. And like you, it was intentional. I never changed my accent because I always wanted to be identified as who I am. I'm Dominican, right? So why try to put on an American accent if I don't want to be identified? I'm grateful for this country. I love this country for all the
Yeah.
benefits that we enjoy.
Yeah.
But at
Yeah.
the core of who I am,
The
I
double
am
checkers.
forever
The
going
double
to
checkers.
be Dominican to the bone. But anyway, let's go over to the studio, guys. Take a sip of water if you need to, as we invite the callers. So just a reminder, if you tuned in a little late, you're listening to Roots Connections on Q, right here on Q95, the big station. And today we are joined by the St. Mary's Academy class of 1974, 1975, the Alumni Reunion group. And we are looking at the question, can reunions and fundraisers be conduits for the economic development of Dominica and, by extension, the Caribbean region? So, guys, keep the comments coming on the Facebook Live. Guys, you'll be very happy to know that Monsignor William John Lewis is on the Facebook Live, and he's saying congratulations on an important and timely conversation. I want to offer my support in any way I am able to. So thank you, Father John Lewis, for being here, Monsignor John Lewis for being here. And I'm going to come and take the other comments. But Lambi, over to you in the studio.
Roots Connection and Q taking your calls right now. The numbers are as follow: 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097, 616-4257. Those are local numbers. The overseas or international number is as follow: 305-432-9624. Let me run those one more time. Local numbers: 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097, 616-4257. The international overseas number: 305-432-9624. Back to you, Simon.
Yes, thank you so much, Nami. Thank you for that. So let's see. Claralyn Warrington. Sorry, Claralyn. I always want to call you Washington, but it's Warrington. I should know better with the Warringtons, who are my neighbors in Baffin State. Claralyn Warrington, good evening, everyone. My mom, Medina Senhouse, good evening, D.A. Rose, watching and listening. My co-producer, Kathy, is here, opening it up, shows true camaraderie and spirit. And she says, good evening to everyone on the panel. Decima Roy, good evening, everyone. And Decima also says he is devoted and fully committed as a leader. And that went for you, Alvin. That was to you. Decima also says, nice discussion. And Kathy says, Sobers is rightly positioned. I could not agree more. So guys, thank you for being here. If anybody else wants to post a comment to let us know their thoughts on the program, you can feel free to do so. But guys, let's jump into the goals of the reunion, because I think that is an important part of the blueprint that we're talking about, right? So just share with us, anyone can feel free to chime in, some of the short term. So let's look at the short term goals, and then we will look at the long term goals. So I'm assuming that one of the short term goals is just to reconnect and catch up, right? See what folks have been doing for the last 50 years.
Well, certainly that isn't like an ongoing goal from the first meeting. It was just, the first meeting was just ecstatic, man. I mean, just physically see guys. Some of them had forgotten. I mean, there were some of them that had actually. In fact, one of the interesting things was during the first few weeks, we were actively trying to remember. There's some guys like Trouble, Jonathan Prevost. He seemed to, some guys have photographic memory, so they were able to just bring out a list of guys. I might say, honestly, I could remember a lot of them forgot. And so different guys brought out names and we were able to collate them together and gradually get the connection. Some of them we had no connection, no phone number, email. So we built that up. All that was done during the process. So that itself was rewarding. Local, I mean, connectivity, it expressed, but the ultimate goal was actually, I mean, motivated by the SMA, the Brother Egbert Jimmy Wing, to really just, if we could, whatever, the objective is whatever monies or profit made out of the activities going to one place to support the Brother Egbert Jimmy Wing and the scholars and that fund. So that is the primary objective. And in the process, the connectivity, I mean, the friendship you're rebuilding. I mean, you remember guys who in class with you and all the mischief you would do to them or they would do to you. And so we have a night where we'll deliver all these things there. So it's just a nice process. And really, that is just some of the objectives. But the other guys could bring
Yeah.
out some more.
Yes.
But to me,
Yeah. I
connection.
think
Thank you, Damien.
I think we want to just put the focus on SMA a bit too. You know what I'm saying? It's like yeah, we you know, when you, especially, you know, like when I was in Dominica, I live close to the sea, right? And going to the beach for us is no big deal, right? But then you come to the US and you live in the middle in Iowa for a while, and then suddenly, oh my God, I want to go to the beach, right? So we take it for granted, you know, when the stuff is right there. But focusing on the institution, you know, raising the awareness of the importance of education, especially for these young people, you know, and giving them something that they can reach for, you know. Hey, you know, we were sitting on the same desk that you're sitting on right now. You know what I mean? There's possibility, there's potential. You just, you know, stay focused on what you're doing. Take it seriously, although I should have taken it a little more seriously when I was hey, you know what I'm saying?
That is you honest.
But even so by osmosis, you know what I'm saying?
He learned by osmosis. We don't
You know,
recommend. We don't recommend our current
no, we
students.
don't.
look
No,
by
we don't do that. We don't do
osmosis,
that.
please.
You know, we certainly don't do that. But
But if I may, Simon, I think the question that you ask is captured in the theme for the week. And the theme says the past, the present, and future, a legacy of excellence. That's the theme for the occasion. So as Damien rightly said, we are reminiscing on the past, the good times we had as students, the unrest, which is that too is part of our past, and the present where we are now, where the school is and its current needs and its challenges, and the future. What kind of future we see down the road for this our alma mater, and what kind of legacy that we want to leave. We want to leave a legacy of excellence. And like I said earlier, the school is 93 years this year. 7 years from now, we'll be celebrating 100, a century. So when that school gets to a century, what kind of legacy are we living as we enter into the next century, having hit that 100? And I think what we have been able to do is, given the theme that we have set, is to capture the activities around that theme. So for example, we'll have, like as usual, we are a school of prayer. We were supposed to go to church every month, first, whatever day that is. And our motto for our school is Ora et Labora. Pray and work, not the other way around. Pray and work. Ora et Labora. So obviously we're starting off with a Thanksgiving Mass.
And we're going to go for the events in a little while.
And then now we have other activities that speaks to the question that you asked in terms of the theme. What some of the things we will do that, as we say, reminisce the past. What are some of the present situation? What can we do now, or what areas that we can support the school, like Damien said, the Egbert Jimmy Wing. And as we look down the road, having now established the two foundations, one in the US, one in Dominica, what kind of development programs that we can engage ourselves with the school? For example, mentor. She
Yeah,
broke
and that takes us
our
into
young men.
long-term goals. So let's talk about
Exactly.
mentorship and long-term
Exactly.
goals. Yes, let's go there.
Exactly.
Let's go
And
there.
several other areas that we believe that, as Tuti said, and say to this young man, look, dude, I sat in that 101
Yep.
bench just like you, many months away. And this is where I am today. And I believe you can do even better than where I, having not maybe take it as serious, as I
Hey,
should.
hey, 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 hey.
Osmosis learning.
Osmosis learning. But yes, that I think the theme sort of captures how we want to take this thing into moving into the future.
Yeah,
But
and I
here's
think
what
that is where, one second, Joe, and I think that is where that economic development part comes into as well in terms of the
Absolutely.
long-term goal, because we talk
Absolutely.
about mentorship, so the giving the young men hope, but also
Absolutely.
collaborations and partnerships that may arise from folks getting together for a reunion such as this. But Joe, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Yeah, I was saying too. I mean, they have more tools than we had when we were in high school, right? They have more access to information, which is, I mean, that's what education. A large part of education is learning, right? Is information. So they potentially, if you look at it, from the baseline, potentially they can exceed us in terms of what they become because of this the proliferation of information that they have access to, and they can help them make decisions that can take them way past where we are. So it's the potential is it's such a potent time for young people. Yes, when we were growing up, education was big. I mean, we revered people who had degrees, and now it's a little different because the focus is on, if you're a rapper, sometimes you are more, you get more clicks than if you're a professor. But we have to remind people that this how important an education is. Not as Alvin, don't bring that up again. Just just how important education is.
Yeah, and by the way, Damien, Albert Joseph is asking you to check your phone. He sent a photo of the class of your time at SMA. But let me pull up the events so we can go through the week of activities. So the reunion for St. Mary's Academy, class of 1974-75, and again, all alumni from the St. Mary's Academy, whether you graduated before 1974, 1975, or after, if you graduated last year, which is 2024, you're invited. So this is an invitation to all SMA alumni. So let us look at the schedule of events for beginning the week of October 11th. So the reunion is going to run from the week of October 11th to Sunday, October 19th. So again, Saturday, October 11th to Sunday, October 19th. So guys, kind of just walk us through the activities for those of us who are listening on the radio who cannot see what we're showing on Facebook and YouTube.
All right. So if I may very we'll jump in.
Yes.
Sunday, the Saturday is pretty much a meet and greet. The normal thing where folks come, we hang out, pick up their packages, their memorabilia, whatever that is. And that is Saturday.
Now, where is that going to be held? Because I noticed
at the St. Mary's Academy grounds. St. Mary's
Okay.
Academy. At the St. Mary's Academy. That's going to be our pretty much our station, put it this way, for the reunion. Then Sunday, as you see there, we have Cathedral at 9 a.m. officiated by the Dean of the Cathedral, Father Nigel Karam, who himself an old boy, an SME old boy. And as I indicated earlier, there are going to be other old boys that are going to be involved in that mass. So we expect that to be a really nice occasion where we come together and give thanks and praise and show gratitude for where we have come after so many decades. And then, of course, that is followed by a brunch on the SMA grounds. Weather permitting, we have the St. Gerard's Hall as well. And that, as I said, is being organized by the staff of the SMA, the principal and staff, and the PTA. So that's the brunch. And then now on that Monday evening, we have what is called a night of reflection at the DPSU Center, starting from 6:30. And the objective really is to allow us alumni to share moments of reflection, recollection during our SMA journey, and to connect with, a period in the life of the alumni where the SMA experience helping bring in what we consider critical consciousness, worldwide worldview, and a sense of direction. And at that night of reflection, we have some presenters. We have, of course, remarks will come from the principal, Brother Egbert German, and then we have three presenters from the class of 1974 in the person of Eric Douglas, Damian Dublin, Linford John, and then we also have 75, we have Diles Warrington, Joseph Geese, Dr. Colin McIntyre. And it's basically to say, well, okay, this is what SMA have done for me as an alumni. This is where it has stationed me in life. Mm-hmm. And then we also have a feature presentation by Ray Harris, one of our teachers during that time. And that is followed, of course, by entertainment and cocktail reception to close off that evening. Tuesday, you want to take Tuesday, Damian?
Tuesday is the tour?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Tuesday, we feel if the objective is a lot of guys who probably haven't been Dominica for a long while. So the tour is really like a means of reconnecting and just bringing them to various sites. So we're thinking of probably the up through Canefield down to through Bells and going to the stopping along the way, like various spots like Spanny Falls and passing through Marigot. We also want to pass by the airport site so they could have a view of the in real time the airport movements. We'll pass through Wesley, go down to through Calibishi, and end up in Portsmouth on the beach. So it will be a whole day affair. We will be providing snack along the way, and I mean basically it's just having some scenic stops for primarily those who haven't been Dominica in a long while, but some of us will be accompanying the train so we can have that togetherness. So that is what the whole of Tuesday will be.
Yeah.
Go
ahead. So that's the island tour on Tuesday, and then Wednesday morning, which is day 5, the 15th of October, we have a special assembly at the school. And during that special assembly, we'll be doing some donation of sporting gears and uniform to the soccer team, the under 15, under 17, under 13. We also want to do a small presentation to SMP Junior League. And of course, Joseph Geese, one of Joseph's outstanding talent during his time at SMA was in sports, cricket, football, and even when he left SMA, he represented Dominica at the national level. And he, of course, will have the honors of doing that. So you want to speak to that, Tuti? You're muted. You're on mute. You mute.
We're excited about this. I mean, SMA was very, very instrumental in me, being reasonably successful in sports, in both cricket and soccer. It's just one thing also that united the students and the faculty, right? Because on mainly on the cricket team, because we played in the Division 1, we had both faculty and students. Well, for cricket. Soccer was different because it was all under 17, under 13, that type of stuff like they have now. So we wanted to make a significant contribution to sports. That was part of was a big focus for us from the beginning, and we're excited because we're able to make a real significant contribution to the soccer team in terms of uniforms. I mean, complete uniforms and soccer boots, and I mean that is big. That is huge. I remember when I played soccer in Dominica. I mean, we had to purchase our own boots, of course, but getting a new pair of boots or getting that new uniform was such a big deal. I mean, it does affect your performance. I think it might be psychological, but I think it does. So I mean, we want to make sure that we represent. We contribute significantly to the kids, especially being excited about this season. I'm not sure if this season going to be started already. I think it may be, but hey, it doesn't matter. We just want to do it, and we want to be excited about it. Want them to be excited about it, and it could be something moving forward that we think about how we can continue to supply them with uniforms and so.
And by the way, Joe, Kenrick Jean-Pierre is on the Facebook Live, and he says, "Do not sell yourself short. You were great in both sports."
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Thanks, Kenrick. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. I mean,
Thank
Tutti
you.
was exceptional in sports. He played
Oh,
for
thank you.
Harlem Bombers for many years and cricket as well. And even up here in the US, he still does a little
Yeah.
cricket off and on when he gets a chance. So he's
Yeah, I
really
play
a
cricket still.
sport
Yeah.
person. Now that evening, that Wednesday evening at 6:30, we also collaborated. And again, one of the things with this reunion, Simon, and I want to say a big thank you to all of those persons and institutions that have collaborated with us.
Mhm.
So we have collaborated with the UE Global Campus. Dr. Kimon Joseph, I think.
Yes, Kim
Yes.
Joseph.
Kimon Joseph, yes. We have collaborated with her, and we'll be having an educational forum that will take the form of a panel discussion. And the topic that we'll be looking at is the future of education in Dominica, our response to the changing local, regional, and global realities in education. I mean, earlier, Tuti mentioned the fact that they have more tools at their disposal, but it is true to say that they have a lot more distractions.
Mhm.
And then the question remains, are we providing the right curriculum? Are we providing the right subjects based on what is required now? I mean, now you're talking about AI, you're talking about all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
So-
and let me chime in very quickly,
Sure,
Alvin, because we are also seeing a challenge in Dominica, because I've seen a number of teachers of primary schools in Dominica complaining on social media that we're talking about education reform and education review in Dominica.
Exactly.
But what has happened is the teaching times have been cut to, I believe, 40 minutes. And a lot of the teachers are concerned that that is not enough time
Absolutely.
to be able to effectively cover all the topics in the curriculum. So you might want to have some input from those on the ground as well for that discussion.
No, absolutely. You're right. And the intention really is to focus the conversation on issues which will add to the rising concern about the nature of education in our country and the region, and to provide thoughtful and practical solutions, as you just indicated, that will stimulate discussion and action for reform and transformation of the education sector. And the panel will be made up of persons like Dr. Francis Severin, Dr. Rose Keynes-Larrock, who was also one of our teachers during our time, a huge educational researcher, Dr. Swinburne Augustine. We have also Dr. Edmund Tavernier, one of our alumni, one of those who sat in the bench with us. He's a professor at Rutgers University in the US. We have Mitchell Williams, a former banker and entrepreneur, and St. Bernard Sebastian. All of those persons I call there are SMA alumni.
And will there be media coverage? I would love to see
Yes.
that discussion. I would love to see that discussion.
Absolutely, there will be media coverage, and of course, you will certainly be invited to carry it live. It will be carried live.
Excellent.
Because as you know, the UE Center is not that of a big center, so it will be carried live. for those of us in the diaspora and those elsewhere who want to listen to that discussion. It will be moderated by Michael Augustine, himself also a former SMA English literature teacher and an SMA alumni. So that's taking place on that Wednesday. And then on Thursday now, we have what is called, Thursday evening, we have reggae and Kadas Lipso on the Broadwalk.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Wow,
Yes,
wow, wow.
Alvin,
I'm coming for that one.
let
Yeah,
me
I
quickly.
know you want to come to that one.
Yes. I
Go ahead,
also want
Damien.
to
I'm
give
sorry, say that?
kudos to
Yeah,
for
go ahead.
the activity on Wednesday, the education. I mean, we have to big up Sobers who
Yeah,
really
Yes,
did some tremendous work in
yes, to get that
coordinating,
going. Yeah,
getting on the panelists,
absolutely.
and linking with a few way. I mean,
yeah,
tremendous. So you can see
Thursday
that
was
that is a must listen to, because when you look at the lineup
yeah,
of speakers, I mean, equality, that is a must listen to. So
yeah,
we're
yeah.
telling everybody, all Dominicans around the globe should be tuned in. Certainly
What
that
is
push
it? A Wednesday? What night is it? Wednesday night, right?
That's Wednesday. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Wednesday.
What time? What time is it?
6:30 Wednesday.
6:30.
Oh, okay. That's just before your show, Simone. You were saying maybe. No, I'm just kidding.
No, she'll tune in. She'll tune in. She'll
I'll tune in.
Certainly,
she'll suspend her show and
the
carry that.
the
Or
first day
I'll catch the replay.
is an interesting evening. Usually on Thursday we have there's reggae on the boardwalk that's hosted by Miguel Labadie and his dad at Paradise and Lubia Highway. So we just piggyback on that and give it a twist, because in the SMA produce tremendous musicians. I mean, SMA contribution to music industry in Dominica for Cardes and Bouyoids, I mean, tremendous. So we thought, let's get a twist and call it a reggae, Cardes and Bouillon night. So that will be something to look forward to. It's on the Thursday from 9 till we have
Till the old guys get tired to go.
till you get tired. So for you guys coming down, bring your dancing shoes,
Get tired.
bring your dancing shoes, and we know what we used to do. Pass soft candle under the shoe. When you dancing, it could slide. That's one of this.
Yeah.
So it will be a nice night. So we have some good DJs
Yeah.
who will be in charge of these segments. The entrance fee is minimal, just $20. So if you want to put more than 20, it's welcome. Like if you want to contribute to the cause, we'll accept it. But it's a nice venue. I mean, right along the highway, Lalikoko, easy to find, enough parking. So we really want people to come down and enjoy that musical experience. Yeah.
And let me just say though, Simon,
Yes.
the amount that Damien mentioned, $20. We see that as a donation or contribution. It's not a charge for any of the events. And even the night of reflection, the donation or contribution is $125. So we're not saying that the price of the ticket. It's a donation or contribution. And as he rightly said, all the proceeds from all of the events where we charge or we ask for a contribution or donation goes towards the Edward German Wing Roof Project. So the night of reflection, that Monday night, is $125. Those tickets will be sold only through the committee and the SMA because it's a limited number of tickets because of the venue as well. So I'm asking everyone, get your tickets early. And the reggae night is $20 contribution donation. But then now, the biggest and most anticipated event is that of Friday. Well, even before we get to that Friday evening, Friday morning at 11 a.m., we have a media conference. So all the medias will be invited, like yourself, Simon. You can do it virtual as well, the local media. And we'll have a media conference where obviously the media will ask, the questions that they want to ask. How the week went, what are our expectations, and whatever other questions they may have. And that should take place on that Friday morning from 11 a.m., a media conference. And then Friday evening now, we have what is called an SMA Old Boys concert
Wow.
at the St. Gerard's Hall. With a spillover, of course, in the SMA ground. But the primary area location for the concert is at the St. Gerard's Hall. And again, a donation of $50 for adults, $25 for students.
And the lineup, that's what I'm waiting to hear.
Yeah, good question. And we want
Because
to
I know Gordon Henderson is going to be in Dominica for Creole Festival.
well, he may not be there that Friday, but
Aw.
he may not be there.
Right.
But if things change and he shows up, he's around, I'm sure he will lend his voice to it.
Oh, yeah.
But again, we want to recognize Sobers, Wackers, Cornell Phillip for the effort, Linford John. They were the frontliners, the persons involved in putting this together. But the lineup we have includes our 10 times Dominica Calypso Monarch King Dice,
Wow.
an SMA Old Boy, Shelley, Signal Band, an SMA Old Boy, Daddy Chess, an SMA Old Boy, Daryl Bob, an SMA Old Boy, Linford John, formerly of Billowman, an SMA Old Boy, Carlton Winston of Serenade, an SMA Old Boy, Mr. Ridge, SMA Old Boy, The Healer, SMA Old Boy, Senator Carlton, Senator Esprit, SMA Old Boy, Alexon Laron, SMA again, Kelly the Ghost, SMA Old Boy, Skinny Banton, SMA Old Boy, Shadow Flow, Cornell Phillip. So that's the kind of lineup you expect to see. We have at least
Good
14
stuff.
good stuff. And as you can hear from the lineup, all of these are products of SMA who changed the musical landscape of Dominica. Starting, as you mentioned earlier, with Gordon Henderson, with Exile One, with Gramax, with Billowman, with Naked Feet, with you name it, on and on and on.
So essentially, Alvin, if we think about it, the two genres of music that were created in Dominica came from SMA, because you have Calypso, which originated with Gordon Henderson and Exile.
Yes.
Have we thought about that?
Wow.
And
Yes.
then we have the pioneers of
That is a
bouyon music
huge
that
observation.
includes Cornell,
WCK,
Phillip,
WCK.
and Shadow Flow.
Yeah, and now
Have
we
you
have
guys thought
Bouillon
about
with
that?
Shelly and all these guys. Yeah.
And then Shelley and Ridge are taking it into the future. That is
Yep.
powerful.
That is a great observation.
Yes. So that is what you're going to expect. So if you miss that, you missed your life.
Blame yourself.
Blame yourself. Damian.
But Alvin, for Friday, we also have an interesting component. Alex Laron and his band
Yes,
playing Serenal music.
that's true. Yeah,
And Alex Laron is an old boy from Atkinson.
that's
So
right.
we bring that nice,
That's right.
traditional twist to it. So
Yes.
that just show people
because
just have to.
isn't
just have to
Gregory
show.
Rabes also from SMA?
Yes. Yes.
I think
Yes.
he should be included
Yes.
because he's made
He's
such a
actually
wonderful
part.
contribution.
He's actually part of the band, Simon.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Part of that band, yeah.
It's part of that band.
Excellent.
Good music.
Excellent. It's
So-
good to
So
honor
really
him all he's done.
The focus is all the talent. I mean, Simon, you made an interesting point which we never made the connection. I mean, about the impact. I mean, we know it impacted the music, but we didn't analyze it. to
The
say,
genesis of it, that's a
actually,
whole different
Originators,
level.
the genesis of the two
Yeah,
genres
all
of
our
music
girls. I
is
mean,
from
actually-
SMA.
Okay, I'm
Yes.
I'm running with that
Yes.
from now on.
Yeah.
I'll take my credit, Joe. Thanks.
As Simon, I don't know.
Yeah.
As Simon said, I'm just
It's
quoting
gonna
her.
be a
Okay?
great night. Yeah.
Oh, never mind. I don't really
SMA
that don't bother me.
SMA talent on display.
Yep.
That is the essence of the show. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
And then-
yeah, so that pretty much captures the activities for the week. As you can tell, Simon, it's a very exciting week. Quite a bit of activities.
And then Saturday and Sunday is just farewell.
Yeah,
Yeah,
farewell.
on Sunday, yes, Sunday, folks. You know, those who are going back, but there are some of us that are going to be staying for the Creole Festival.
Yeah, because that was going to be my next question, Alvin.
Yes.
Was it strategic to put it right before the highlights of the Creole
Yes, pretty
season in
much, pretty
Dominica?
much.
So if somebody wants to just stay on for Creole Festival, you
Absolutely,
take 2
pretty
weeks
much.
from work.
Yeah, absolutely, pretty much. That was the
Excellent.
intention. And of course, bearing in mind, we were saying, well, as you started off earlier with the program, that by then the hurricane season would be sort of pretty much, not in the air. So that was the intention, that one, we could do that. And secondly, folks would want to stay on, because from I think the Monday, which is the 20th, I believe, through the 23rd, is Creole in the Park, TV Lodge or whatever they call it. Yeah. So folks will stay on for that and then stay for the Creole Festival. So basically that's the intention. So all the SMA old boys from the diaspora will be coming, and those of them who will be staying over will have a really good time. They'll have a great week for the reunion. And then they will, those who are staying on will have a wonderful Creole experience and World Music Creole Festival.
And by the way, Joe Ackroyd Birmingham wants to correct you. He said, please, it is football, not soccer. and then I think Alvin, you answered his.
All right. I said I wasn't Americanized, but I gotta take some from it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can't live here for so many years and not have a little influence. You know what I'm saying? Okay, you're right. It is football.
And then Alvin, you answered his other question. He was asking if there's a press conference. You answered that as well.
Yes.
And then let's see. I think he says also, I think Swinging Stars is former SMA.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true.
And that is the oldest dance band in Dominica.
That's true.
You guys have a lot to take credit for.
That is a lot of positive history.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But I do want to say, we've been talking a lot about the event, but we need to tell people how they can get to, how they can get information about it. So you can go to, I want to make sure I say it.
So
Mary's Academy.
So far, I've put the email address. So I've posted the email address on Facebook and YouTube, and then you'll give additional information.
Okay,
so I have the email address as smaoldboys7475@gmail.com.
Perfect.
So again, smaoldboys, BOYS, 7475@gmail.com. But go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, we have a Facebook page, it's St. Mary's Academy Class of 74-75 Alumni. And there's information there, registration. I just posted the conversation that we're currently in on there too. So yeah, this you can get all the information.
Repeat it again.
It's St. Mary's Academy Class of 74/75 Alumni. So Mary's Academy. ST. But you search it, it will come up. You'll see the crest, which is the base page for us on Facebook. So,
Simone, can I suggest?
Go ahead, Damien.
While Tutti on, probably you could talk about maybe some of the sponsors so far who have stepped up and supported the band.
Great idea. Go ahead. Sponsors.
Oh, me? Well, I'll start with the radio station. Oh, yeah. Okay. Sorry. So I'll start with the radio station. Simone, I'll start with you because this is in-kind contribution right there. We appreciate it, right? The exposure is really important. So that's important. We also have in-kind contributions from DBS Radio, Kyrie FM. I'm Cecil over at DBS. Thank you so much. Wadix has made an ad for us that we currently run in. And we're going to be running all the radio stations in the next couple of days. He cut a nice ad for us. Thank you, Wadix. Really appreciate it. And Vanessa over at Kyrie, it's been a wonderful to work with her. They've given us some in-kind contributions, including we have the billboard over by the stadium there. We have some ads running there. That's a good thing. We're gonna be on air starting, I think, tomorrow with all the ads that have been cut. And what else? We have some social media. And next Tuesday, she has a show, I think, for an hour on Tuesday afternoon I'm going to be on that show there, just talking about the program a little more. So we want to thank all the media houses who really, really helped us in getting this word out, and we really appreciate it. But most importantly, though, the exposure is good, but it's one person telling the other. You know what I mean? I've been working in this gaming industry now for about 30 years. And just an example, we did commercials, we did TV of $120 a month. And then I did a survey at the desk where people come into the casino to register. I tell them when they come in, ask them, where did they find out about us? 80 or 90% of people who came in found out from a friend or somebody else so please, I encourage people who are watching the show or who know about it to let other people know about it, because that's the most powerful tool, for sharing information that we know of, at least currently.
Yeah, and do you wanna send an appeal for additional sponsors to come on board?
Well, let me just say though, while on that we also want to acknowledge Franklin Moses,
Yes.
former SMA boy,
TDN. I
who
forgot
is
TDN.
doing that for us, TDN radio.
Yes. Sam and Drago.
Mr. G,
Yes.
for Q95 have committed to running some ads for us. And
okay.
there are other sponsors. We're still finalizing that list. So that's why I wouldn't want to make any mention just yet, but there's some who have come on board already. There's some we're still having conversation with. They have given some really good assurances, a commitment to support. We will be having a commemorative magazine, and with information in there, a little history on the school, some remarks, including that from His Lordship the Bishop, who heads the all Catholic schools in Dominica, the principal and other persons, Brother Edward Chairman. So yes, we'll recognize most of our sponsors. We're just fine-tuning this week now, that list. So hopefully, I'm hoping just before maybe the October 11th, we can do another program with you. Then we would have at least concretized all the sponsors.
But Alvin, can I tell you something? This program has become so popular. I'm booked until the end of October.
Oh, wow.
But any videos you have, because keep in mind the best promos for like social media is not flyers, it's videos.
It's videos.
So any video clips you have, if you want to thank your sponsors, anything, you just send it to me and I'll broadcast it for you.
All right,
definitely. But guys, before go ahead, Damien.
I say, Tuti, I've been in the business for 40 years, and you just dropped a hint free of charge for him. So
I know.
But really, it's quite encouraging. I mean, the people we are talking to, sponsors, we have gotten support from from SMA alumni. I mean, some have put at least two of them sizable amounts. We're still talking to some other people, and we feel encouraged that this thing gonna be a success. I wanted to. How much time we have, Mokimon?
Yeah, go ahead. We have time. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to make the connection, as you mentioned, if reunions and economic impact on Dominica.
Yes, please do.
This year, I don't know. We can call this year the year of reunions, because
I'm telling you, Damien, that's all I
have
saw.
never seen so many reunions in one.
Really important.
Yeah, I mean, when I looked at the program, for example, the Lapland Reunion, I mean, these people had a program for like 2 weeks, every day, different activity. Cassie Blues had their own. I mean, St. Andrews High School, I think there was a Scott Z reunion. And within that thing, I just met some people who had like 2 different family reunions. I mean, I don't know what happened this year. We'll have to call this year the year of reunions. I mean, it's tremendous for the communities. It brings people together, and I mean, the economic benefits to the country it's easy to calculate. I mean, people come, they rent vehicles, they eat food, they buy souvenirs. I mean, it's probably something we can look at and have a deliberate policy towards reunions as an economic, encourage people to organize with as an economic activity. And it means,
well, I mean, it's
bringing up people together and gelling.
Yeah,
Well,
but that also, one second, Joe, but that also speaks to what we've always talked about,
Yeah,
Alvin, in terms of the role of the
yeah.
diaspora. Because what we're
Yeah.
seeing is that,
Okay.
Dominicans, despite the challenges we're seeing on the ground, rather than being discouraged, Dominicans are digging in their heels and they're recommitting themselves to the land of their birth. So we're now elevating beyond that whole barrel economy where people were simply sending things for their family, and now we're seeing that it's being elevated, that people are saying there is more than we can do. Yes, the challenges are out of our control, and there's nothing we can do as foreigners, as people living overseas, not foreigners, as Dominicans living overseas. There's a lot that is out of our control in terms of what is going on in Dominica, but there is still much we can do. And that is why at the beginning of the program, I always talk about the visionaries who are no longer sitting on the sidelines, but they're walking the talk, because we all have that passion for Dominica. But the question is, where is the action? And now we're seeing the action, and I'm so very excited, because I think the more reunions and fundraisers we see, it all only encourages others to say, hey, look what SMA is doing. And thank you, Damien. I'd forgotten about the one in Soufriere, Scott's Head area. Look at what this community is doing. What about us? What about us? And that is how you're seeing that momentum growing. And so we have to start tapping in and seeing, well, what is the economic benefit of all this to Dominicans on the ground and the country in general? So thoughts, anybody?
But I think beyond that, Simon, I am of the view as well that when you speak of development of a country or nation, it goes beyond just the government or folks depending on the government to do everything. And in the area of education, which is where we are focusing now, and the school, like I said earlier, and you use the example of the diaspora and the barrel economy. There's so many of us who are in the diaspora. And I mean collectively, for example, let me just say, in terms of the replacement of the roof for the Edward Jumin wing, that is going to cost somewhere in the region of almost 500,000 EC dollars. Okay? Now, if you get 1,000 alumni, SMA alumni, just 1,000 across the globe, and each one commits just, and I'm talking those of us outside of Dominica, each one of us commit just 360 US dollars a year. That's about what, $30 a month, $1 a day. We can raise a total of 360,000 US dollars. Simple maths. So you see the potential there is. So the question of engaging and getting involved in the development of your country, and by extension in education or agriculture, wherever it is, therein lies the potential. And that is why, as I indicated earlier, the theme speaks to the past, the present, and the future, a legacy of excellence. Reminisce on the past, what we did and how we made it, where we are presently, and where we would like to see the school 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and what can each one of us do in terms of the overall development of Dominica. And I think we have the potential to do that. And
Oh, absolutely. Joe?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think, thinking about this, I think this conversation has been extremely good for me, because it has made me think about this a little deeper. And you know what I'm saying? Yeah, we're reunion. When you're in organization mode, you know what I mean? You're in a functional mode. But I think, the conversation has helped me to go a little more inside and say, it really is what we're after, is to influence the minds of the students at SMA, to let them realize that there's something bigger, there's something grander, because they're the ones that now it's going to be in their hands, right? You know what I mean? We're not going to be around forever. It's going to be in their hands. And we want them to see that, hey, there is possibility, the ceiling is not here. The ceiling is, there's no ceiling really. You know what I mean? In a global economy, there really is no ceiling, so I think especially in the instances that we're going to be interacting with the students, we have to make certain that we make that point very, very, very strong. You know what I'm saying? You know, and we have to and find some way to keep that channel of communication open with the students, that they can, you know, access it in terms of if they have questions. I don't know how we make that happen, but I think that has to be part of it.
Yeah, because that was going to be my next question, Joe. That was going to be my next question. Beyond the reunion, how do you keep that momentum going so that it's not just, well, we did the reunion, that is that, you know, we wash our hands, we raise the money, and that is that. But what happens after the reunion? What is next? Because we're looking at the blueprint, that strategic plan, right? So what is next? And also, before the time runs out, I think something that would be helpful as well, as we talk about the blueprint for success of reunion and fundraising events, some of the challenges that you faced along the way, and how those who are considering doing something similar, how they can address those challenges. So let's look at the challenges first, and then let's talk about beyond the reunion. And we only have 9 minutes, guys. So
yeah. Well, if I may just jump in very quickly, I'll try to be brief. I mean, part of the challenge is what I think Damien sort of speak to it a little. Is to keep the momentum and the enthusiasm and the group together. That's one of the biggest challenge, because we all are busy persons. Tuti is busy, Damien is busy, Sober's busy. We're all very busy in what we do. And how do you keep that together and keep the momentum going? So that's a huge challenge. And we have to recognize that. And herein lies the whole question of, I think, a certain level of character, integrity, all that comes into play, value. That if we say we're having a meeting on Wednesday at 7, we have the meeting. And if you're unable to make it, you say, well, you're unable to make it. So a certain level of discipline comes into play. And I think that can be part of the challenge in ensuring that the meeting. The other thing, of course, is to be able to work that logistically with persons all over the place. So Joe and I in the diaspora, he's in Texas, I'm in Atlanta, Dimian is in Roseau, this other guy must be in Texas, this other guy here. How do you coordinate all of that? The coordinating aspect of it can be a little challenge. But of course, in this age of virtual Zoom and all of that, makes it a little easier as it was several years ago. So I think that too is part of the challenge.
Simon, I honestly feel that that momentum is that, I mean, after the reunion, that link will continue. I mean, we might have some meetings to just, you know, do some review, post reviews, but I'm sure that kind of link, I mean, for example, the WhatsApp group not going to just disappear. We'll still have that. And so we'll keep the link now and then. If by chance Alvin decide you want to invite us to Atlanta or organize something, we all go to
and that is also a good way to keep ideas going, ideas formulated.
But I'll tell you, Simon, one of the things, and they both are aware of that. Again, I will say to you what we have 2 organizations established now for St. Mary's Academy. And the one that is the St. Mary's Academy Alumni Infrastructural and Development Fund Incorporated. We have a wide membership of almost 30 members thereabout, including your brother Wayne, who is part of that committee. So there's going to be, and this is what we're hoping will come out of the reunion, a lot more alumni will hear about this initiative and will want to say, hey, I want to be a part of this. And we're going to open it up for more persons to be a part of it. The structure is there now, and it's just a matter of using that structure, building that network, reaching out. A number of persons since I've reached out and spoken to myself and even folks on the committee. One such person who reached out just recently was Vance LeBlanc. He's an SMA old boy, all the way in Vancouver. He said, man, I heard about this thing and whatever. I also spoke with Macford Zamor, a teacher of ours during the SMT. So I think more folks are going to, the awareness is going to be created.
Cricketer too.
They're going to come on board. They're going to get involved, because I'll tell you, there is a lot to be done at the school. As I said, I mentioned the mentorship part. We have an agriculture program at the school. We have a woodwork program at the school. There is needs and demands there. Currently, as we speak, the principal wants to look at a project to enhance and improve English language in the school because she believes some of the boys are falling short in that specific subject area. And there's a proposal to support that. So there are numerous initiatives that can be undertaken. And I would hope, and I would not hope, but I'm saying now that the principal have been fully on board with us. I would hope, therefore, that the alumni who are listening and who are hearing those appeals will step forward. You may not always get the answer at the first time, but keep calling, keep talking, keep networking. And I think with the structure, we can develop something. And I
and before
finally to work with you, Simon, for Convent and the other schools.
Yep.
We are prepared to collaborate with the
Yep.
other schools because given that we have set a blueprint or a template, we are prepared to share that template with the other high schools and say, well, hey, this is how we walk the road, this is how we do it, and this is where we can lend some support, some advice of whatever it is to your school to be able to do the same thing.
Right. Thank you, Alvin. And before we go around for final thoughts, do you have a count of how many so far are confirmed to be? Because tomorrow is going to be 1 month before the reunion. Do you have a number of folks who will be?
I haven't got the latest number, but from what I heard from Joe Luis, who is keeping that, I think in terms of register, we had, I think it was well over, was it, how much was it to this? 60, 50, something like that?
Good.
I don't remember the count now.
Yeah, but we have, and let me say to folks again, let me underscore that, Simon. This is open to all alumni.
Yes.
Okay? All alumni on island. And those overseas who can still buy a ticket. There are some of them that can still buy a ticket. They may be close by St. Croix or St. Thomas.
Yeah, but you remember, Alvin, even if you cannot come, you just participate. You can register because we have this participation role that we're going to create post-event.
And you can make
right?
a donation. You can make a donation.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. And Kenrick Jean-Pierre says part of our mission is continuity of support.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So guys, final thoughts as we wind down.
Yeah, I'm going to dominate that section because the marketing needs to take over the last part of it, So
that's fine. I'll give you my time.
Yeah. In the in the Congress, they said, Mr. Speaker, I donate I forget what they said.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
So I want to just stress that it's important to go to the Facebook page because that's where we collect all the information that you can get. You have access to the registration page, which is there, and all bits of information, the schedule of events and everything. So go to St. Mary's Academy class of 1974-75 alumni, and you will get all that information there. Make sure you register. As Alvin was saying, this is not only for some students of 74-75, this is for all the alumni. We're really excited about this event. And I think from this conversation, I think it just put me up one notch. I don't know how I can be more excited, but I'm a little more. And thank you for breaking some news, Simon, that, about the music. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to steal that idea, and maybe if I remember, I'll give you credit. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, I don't need credit, Joe. I don't need credits.
No, I'm just kidding. But, it's I think, there's a value system inside of that school that just unleashes people, you know what I'm saying? And I think I'm just happy to be part of it, and I encourage everybody to go in there, all alumni, and also, Dominicans who are not necessarily alumni, who can participate in the events, You'll be hearing on the radio, all the events we're advertising them where you can get tickets and everything. Thank you so much, Simone, for this. I really, truly appreciate it. And my colleagues, Damien and what's his name again? Alvin. Oh, that's him there.
Yes. Thank you, Joe. Yeah. And it's just amazing, and it warms the spirits to see, 50 years later, how passionate we still are for our schools. I mean, I left Convent like 1992, so that was a while ago, and still that passion, that pride we take in saying, I'm an SMA old boy, or I'm a Convent old girl, or I'm a DGS, a former student, Wesley High School, whatever school you graduated from, just that sense of pride. And that is one of the things we want to make sure we instill in our young people growing up, that sense of pride that will make them want to be an alumni and also want to contribute back to the school that pretty much was available to them during their formative years. So maybe at some point you guys can form a formal alumni association so that you can continue to invite the younger ones to join the more veteran group and bridge yet another divide, the age divide, which is another area we have a lot of struggles in. Young people not really relating to older people. So bridge that divide, do projects where you can work together so that the young people realize, hey, I have something in common with this older person, and I can learn from this older person. But at the same time, the older person can learn from the young people. So the potential are endless, right? Alvin, your final thoughts. Damien, did you
Simon, quickly,
have something to say?
Yeah, I won't be long to care the marketing. I just need to mention one person whose impact on us at recess time, Miss Murray. It's Kelvin Thomas, Kello Thomas, and Rennick Thomas' mother. And at recess time, this lady had some special, but I don't think anybody in Dominica had a recipe.
Yeah, for that bakes like this.
Time, that lady sustained us. Imagine you just waiting as soon as that bell ring, you fly out of the door because the demand for that. Don't you remember we used to make sandwich, take the bakes and put coconut cheese in it?
Yeah, I mean, she's
I just
part
have
of
to
the
mention it
tapestry,
because
right?
it just clicked that her role at that time as being recess time and there for years. It's very good. I had a friend from Kello. How many years Miss Mary served us?
Yes, excellent. So
I just
Alvin,
have to mention that.
So Alvin, you have 30 seconds, but before you do, Ackroy says finally basketball was introduced to Dominica by SMA.
That's true.
And then Kathy wants to know, if you did not graduate, are you still considered an alumni?
Yeah, I think so.
Very much so.
Once you sat in that bench, walk through that hall, you're considered.
That's a good question, Kathy. Thank you for that.
Yeah, that's a
but
good
30
question.
seconds because we're out of time.
No, I just want to say thank you to the rest of the committee members and all of those who have supported us as we take on that bold initiative. In particular, I want to mention the principal, Mrs. Sylvia John Baptist, and her staff, who have been collaborating with us very much in terms of executing that project. And all the alumni that have stepped forward and to support, and persons like yourself, the media houses who have given us some airtime. Ivona did it on Connecting the Dot and all those folks. So we just want to say thank you. And we're looking forward to having a really grand occasion. But like I said, it goes beyond the reunion into how we would like to see our alma mater moving past the 21st century. So thanks again, Simon. Thanks,
Thank you.
And all the
thank you.
guys.
So thank you, guys. This was awesome. Again, thank you for being here. So if you are curious, you join in late. This is Roots Connections on Q. I'm your host, Dr. Simone Matthew. And today we had the St. Mary's Academy class of 1974-75 alumni reunion. And we were looking at, can reunions and fundraisers be conduits to the economic development of Dominica? And I think we answered that with a resounding yes. And now we have created a blueprint that we're hoping to hand over to other schools, other institutions who see the value of doing these reunions and these fundraisers, not only for your personal benefit, but also for the benefit of the country. So I want to thank everyone who joined us on the radio, join us on Facebook and YouTube. Guys on Facebook and YouTube, thank you so much for the great contributions. Don't forget, if you miss any portion of the program, you can jump on YouTube and Facebook, Q95 FM Radio, or Facebook at Push Past 10 to catch the replay if you missed any portion of the program. Lambi, thank you for being on the console. As always, Mr. G showing. Thank you for all that you do to support our organizations and those who are working to move Dominica forward. So it is always great to be here with you for another episode of Roots Connections on Q, where we continue to harness the power of technology, international radio, social media, and podcasts to leverage the skills and expertise of our Caribbean people around the world as we continue to build that capacity needed for the sustainable development of Dominica, our Caribbean region, and our worldwide diaspora. And as you listen to the program, I always remind you to ask yourself that important question: what role can I as well play in the development of our people, our region, and our diaspora? So with that, again, if you are interested in following me, you can do so on my website, pushpast10.com. So that is www.pushpast10.com. And again, if you're looking to be on the program, this program books up very quickly. So please reach out to me at least a month in advance. And you can do so at pushpast10@gmail.com, pushpast10@gmail.com. So you too can tell us what you are doing, not what you're thinking of doing. Very important. Not what you're thinking of doing, not what we should be doing, but what you are doing to help to advance our people and our country. So guys, thank you for being here. You can say good night to everyone.
Good night,
And
guys.
Good night, folks.
All right. Good night.
any promotional content you want to share, I'll be more than happy to do it
Sure.
for you. So
Oh,
don't
yeah.
forget to send me
I'll
and
be-
to keep me
I'll be
posted.
sending them.
Thank you, Simon. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Thank you
Have
so
a good
much.
night.
Okay, Simon, have a good night.
All right,
Lambi,
take care, guys. Have a good
Thank you.
night.
I'll be-
all the best. Yeah.
Roots Connections on Q, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. every other Wednesday on Q95, the big station. Dominicans journeyed beyond our shores for decades in search of economic opportunities and educational advancement. Many are ready to give back to